For the very first time since 2020, the Chicago Cubs are headed back to the postseason. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thanks so much for spending your time with me, for tuning into this video. Listen, let me tell you guys something. I am hyped. The Chicago Cubs punched their ticket today back to the postseason. Back to fighting for the World Series. They will have a chance and a shot at the World Series. They have played good basketball, good baseball pretty much fairly all year. There have been some hiccups, but still the Chicago Cubs got where they needed to be. This was the goal. At the end of last year, Craig Counsell was frankly as honest as he's been since he was in a Cubs uniform, and when he said that the Chicago Cubs ought to be fighting and contending for division crowns and for postseason berths. The Chicago Cubs should be fighting for World Series. These are the Chicago Cubs. And listen, when he came here, this was his goal. This was his vision. This was also the vision of Jed Hoyer, to get this team back to the postseason. And for better or for worse, kicking and screaming, guys, we are headed back to the postseason. The Chicago Cubs did that today by beating the Pittsburgh Pirates. They went against the Pirates. Matthew Boyd did not have the best game of his life today. However, the Chicago Cubs were still able to pull through. So Michael Busch went 0 for 2 in this game with a run and an RBI. Nico Horner went 2 for 4 in this game, scored 3 runs. Ian Happ went 2 for 4 in this game, scored a run, hit a home run, and also scored an RBI. Justin Turner also got 2 RBIs and went 2 for 2 in this game. Seiya Suzuki went 0 for 3 in this game. Kevin Alcantara went 0 for 1 in this game. Pete Armstrong went 0 for 5 in this game. 1 for 5 in this game. I'm sorry. Dansby Swanson went 1 for 4 in the game and also did score a run. Reese McGuire went 1 for 5. Matt Shaw went 0 for 3 and scored a run. Matthew Boyd, unfortunately, only made it 3 innings in this game. He allowed 7 hits, earned 4 runs, and 2 walks, 5 strikeouts on 83 pitches, 48 of those being strikes. Porter Hodge, then after that, pitched the inning, allowed 1 hit, got 2 strikeouts on 19 pitches. Savali then pitched the rest of the game. He went 3 strong innings, allowing 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 24 pitches, 14. He allowed 1 hit, 3 strikeouts, 0 earned runs, 0 walks on 55 pitches, 36 of those being strikes, to drop his ERA to 4.92. Listen, Savali is going to be a huge part of what the Chicago Cubs have going forward. Drew Pomerantz pitched the inning, allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout on 24 pitches, 14 of those being strikes. Taylor Rogers pitched 1 inning, allowed no hits, allowed no runs, no walks on no strikes, 14 on 14 pitches. So like I said, the Chicago Cubs, this game was a crazy game. At first, I thought the Chicago Cubs were going to immediately take this game, run with it, because they scored 4 in the first inning. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a runaway game. It's going to be a boring game because the Chicago Cubs are going to take this one early, right? No, then Matthew Boyd came in and gave up 3 right back. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on with Matthew Boyd? And for me, y'all, I don't know. I don't know. It would not hurt to rest Matthew Boyd next week. If you plan to pitch him as one of your starters in the wild card series, it would not hurt to rest Matthew Boyd. It would not hurt to allow him to just be able to just chill. I think that he has carried this team with his pitching performances all season long. We're in uncharted territory for him. And y'all, just his last 4 starts have not looked good. And for me, I think that it is important that us as a club that we sit Matthew Boyd and we give him some time to really relax, rest his arm, give him all next week off. Like I said, I mean, you can call up whoever you want to call up, send down whoever you want to send down, do a bullpen day if you want to do a bullpen day. But I really think you need to, I personally think you need to rest Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga. But again, like I said, I just, Shota has to get back in the groove of things coming off of that injury. But Matthew Boyd definitely should not pitch again. Chicago Cubs have already clinched the postseason berth. You know they're going to be there. Like I said, I mean, you obviously still have a chance to make a run at the division. And you definitely have a chance to make the run to lock in that number 1 seed, which will be our next topic. But at the same time, man, you got to rest Matthew Boyd. You need to chill on Matthew Boyd. I think he needs a recovery, a break, a good week off, a lot of just resting that arm in the hot tub and the cold tub, and like I said, man, maybe doing some light stretching and things like that. But you want him nice and crisp for the postseason. Because personally, if you're asking me, it's either Cade Horton or Matthew Boyd starting the first game of the postseason. Either or. Both of them are good options. And then you go then you go Shota Imanaga the second. And then after that, like I said, you can either go Jameson Taillon or you can go, Cade Horton or somebody else. But hopefully you take care of business in 2 games and they don't have to be a third game. That would be ideal. So, listen, like I said, the Chicago Cubs are headed back to the postseason. I am elated, y'all, as my first year doing this show with you guys. And thank you all so much for tuning in and for watching this first year doing this show with you guys. And literally, like I said, I feel as though I'm just super elated, super excited, super happy that the Chicago Cubs are back in the postseason. And with the Chicago Cubs being back in the postseason, y'all, we are going to live stream every single game. You can meet us, guys, over on Playback or right here on YouTube. Both. We will have all postseason games once the schedule is dropped. I will put up the link so that everybody can tune in and watch. Don't want to miss out. You want to join in with us as we watch. Tune in to the Chicago Cubs games. I'm gonna try to get Big Kev, try to get Tyrone, try to get everybody in with us to watch the Chicago Cubs push through the postseason, and hopefully they can come through and make it and make these interesting, man. I don't really know where we can go with this, how far we can go with this. So we'll just have to see what happens. The postseason's a different animal. Play is gonna be different, teams are gonna be different. But like I said, we got to push through. But we will celebrate this one. Craig Counsell literally was so excited for the Chicago Cubs and happy for the Chicago Cubs. Like I said, Ian Happ was emotional. He's the longest tenured Chicago Cub in that clubhouse. He's the longest tenured Chicago Cub. So for him, it really meant a lot, especially since he was the one that caught the final out that helped them clinch their spot. So listen, the guys were in the back. They're giving each other champagne baths. They're flying the W into the postseason. They took a big group photo outside of on the field in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. But the Chicago Cubs are headed back to the postseason. But will everybody be available? We got to talk about that. I have been talking ad nauseum, and I still will continue to talk about the product, the brand that has changed my life and can change yours too. What's that product? It's Dubby. It's an all-natural energy supplement that you can take on the daily to help you get through those urges, those moments when you want to nap, then when you hit the cliff, or if you had a long night the night before and need to get through another crazy day of the hustle and bustle, the 9 to 5, whatever you got going on. Dubby is your energy drink. That's right. Not to mention, when you buy a container of W, it actually equals out to almost $1 per drink. You can mix it in with whatever you want, whether that be a juice, whether that be a water, whether that be some type of other energy flavored drink, whatever you want, you can mix W with it and it will do the trick for you. Guys, I don't understand what you're waiting on. W takes care of everything for you. All you have to do is go on to the W website and place your order. And at this time, when you do that, all you have to do is put in Cubs Central Pod 2024. That's right, Cubs Central Pod 2024, and you get 10% off on your W order. That's right. Listen, guys, I'm telling you right now, Jitterless Energy. They have all different types of different flavors for you. W has what you need. Be better with W. So the Chicago Cubs are definitely headed back to the postseason, right? Right. Unfortunately, we got some news today that may lend to one of the most important pieces on a long tenured uh, postseason drive potentially being derailed. That being the news of Kyle Tucker. So Kyle Tucker, earlier today, it was announced that Kyle Tucker was actually flying to Kyle Tucker was actually flying to Florida to get more treatment on his on that quad injury to Tampa. I'm sorry, not the quad, his calf injury, because it has not made any progress at all. Craig Counsell spoke to news and media before today's game at PNC Park and said, unfortunately, we've plateaued and we weren't making progress. So, like I said, we needed him to go get more treatment and seek a second opinion. Like I said, I look at this and I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Obviously, Craig Counsell went on to say we're optimistic that he will play, but we are at the point of the calendar where the days are running out. Guys, we need to be prepared for the realization that Kyle Tucker might not suit up again this season in a Cubs uniform, and that includes postseason. We need to be prepared for the reality that that might just happen. I'm not wishing it to happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I feel as though, like I said, Kyle Tucker is a huge important piece for this Chicago Cubs team, and I want him to be there. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, this doesn't sound good. Plateaued, still not getting better. And like I said, and it's it's one of those things where he is just not making progress. I mean, that means there's something deeper going on with that. That does not sound good. It does not sound good at all. So I mean, like I said, y'all, we're looking at the potential here of not having Kyle Tucker. And I would tell you, I at least expect probably not to see Kyle Tucker for the rest of the season, the regular season. But we need to be prepared that the Chicago Cubs might have to go through the postseason without Kyle Tucker too. And if that happens, like I said, it's going to be a lot more bumpier of a ride without Kyle Tucker hitting in that third spot in the batting order. So prayers up to Kyle Tucker, man. Hopefully he can get better. And that things can turn around for him. But like I said, the Chicago Cubs look like they might be preparing to have to do this postseason run without a major piece, which is unfortunate. He wasn't even able to be in the clubhouse today with the boys as they shared champagne and toasted each other and everything like that. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So, But like I said, the Chicago Cubs, well, I want to put a damper on what's a great episode. Again, also, I don't want to forget this. We got to fly that W, baby. That's right. The Chicago Cubs do win, do take down the Pittsburgh Pirates, sweep them in the series, also win the season series against them, also clinch a spot in the postseason for the first time since 2020. And that's our last topic of the day. What would it take for the Chicago Cubs to lock in that number one wild card spot? They clinched the number one wild card spot, the first wild card spot, with going 6-4 over the next 10 games. That's right. If they go 6-4 over the next 10 games, the Chicago Cubs will clinch that number one wild card spot, and then from there they can ride out however they want. Like I said, they can do whatever they want to do. It's up to them. So listen, the Chicago Cubs did it. They have clinched their playoff spot, their postseason. We here on this channel clinch our ticket, then punch our ticket also to the postseason. So that's right. We're going to be live streaming each and every postseason game that Chicago Cubs have. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure that you guys tune in, tell a friend. Listen, Chicago Cubs Central is going to be going live stream for every single postseason game. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. Until next time, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.